Good morning and welcome to Judging by the Cover, the gaming review show where I rate games that I have not played and score them based on the store pages. Today, I know I'm getting this out a little late, so please forgive me for the late upload, the late release on this review. We had a little bit of a time crunch. I got a little busy on the weekend, had work and all that. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in, continuing with our Back to Nature Month, and this time we are looking at Sunrock Lake on the Nintendo Switch by Down Meadow Street. Now, I tried doing a little bit of digging here to see like what exact background or history or like game publishing record Down Meadow Street has, and I couldn't really find anything about the studio themselves. Now I looked on Steam and found a total of 5 games with their name attached to it as the publisher, not the developer, but the publisher. And through some more Google search, I did find a list of a lot of games actually released last year and this year already. Like a lot of games with their name attached. But all of those games seem to have a very similar kind of design and aesthetic to them. There's a few horror games, but for the most part, it seems to be cozy walking simulator type of games, as we will see as we get into this description. Now, in most of these reviews, I start off by looking at game trailers. Now, we're probably not going to be able to do that this time because the Nintendo Switch has no game trailers for this game. And when I looked on Steam, this game was not on Steam, so I couldn't find any game trailers to compare to on there. It seems that this and most of Down Meadow Street's titles are only released on the Switch, and then a few that are on PC are also not on here. Like they went on different platforms for that. That said, we're looking Sunrock Lake. The screenshots, they do look pretty. They are rendered nicely. Obviously, because we don't have a trailer, we don't get any kind of sense of the background music, the atmosphere, or the animation in the game to see, like, do the trees and the grass, do they blow in the wind or something? Or is it all just kind of walk through this static landscape? We can't tell that, which for a store page is going to be a very hard sell even for $6. Like it's not expensive, but honestly, depending on what we hear in the description, I don't know. It's going to be hard to get to justify even $6 for this. I feel like uh if this went on sale for like 50 cents, maybe they'd get my money just to kind of see one game that they've made just to figure out what's going on. In fact, before I go ahead and give a final rating, I am going to go ahead and click on the Down Meadow Street just to kind of cycle through their honestly expansive Nintendo Switch catalog just to see what's in there. That said, Sunrock Lake, we're jumping straight to the description. The screenshots are right there on the screen. They cycle through. So, like I said, it looks nice, but we can't see the animation. I can't hear any music. It just tells us, welcome to Sunrock Lake. Stroll through charming streets, blooming gardens, and hidden corners as you uncover everything the village has to offer. Every path invites discovery, and every detail tells a story of life, leisure, and sunlight. Sunrock Lake focuses on peaceful exploration. No rush, no pressure, just wandering and finding the village's secrets. They list features. Bright, sunny village environments, search and find exploration gameplay, hidden spots to discover, and a relaxing atmospheric world. That's really all the information we have, and frankly, that's probably about all it needs. Graphically, like I said, yeah, we're skipping a lot of parts on this review just because of the sheer lack of everything that we have on this store page. Graphically, like I said, it looks good. The textures are all right. So I guess the walls are maybe a little flat, but I don't really necessarily expect it to be that much like that intensive. I'm not looking for like, Cyberpunk 2077 kind of graphics here. But at the same time, it does seem a bit, at least it looks a little handcrafted. It's not like Pokemon Sword and Shield trees. So, if you care about the trees. For a game that has nothing but looks pretty attached to it without really seeming any mechanical stuff, it's not the worst thing to see presented, but at the same time, it's going to be hard for me to recommend this to an audience. The sound and gameplay, again, we have no trailer to judge the sound. We don't see any animation or gameplay in motion. They just tell us, explore this village at your leisure, which I guess if you want to unwind after a day of work, then maybe just walking through something like that would be kind of nice. But then there's other games that also offer more to that experience. And that's where it's going to get to be where to try and find an audience for this. UI and menus for this, we see absolutely none of that. Not even a title screen. Like we do see uh we do see the title of the game here, but we don't see any kind of even we don't even see a start game menu, let alone any kind of inventory, anything mechanical, skill upgrades. Like it doesn't seem like the kind of game that's going to have any of that. And frankly, $6, okay, I'm going to be mostly fair here. I'm pretty sure for most gamers, $6 is not breaking the bank. But at the same time, I feel like the game just is not really offering anything of much substance for that $6. They tell you that you can explore and discover hidden things, but outside of that, like once you find it and you discover things, like what else is there? Do you figure out how to speed run the game? Do you try to get all the collectibles? Anything of the sort? Even other games that have like a walking simulator label to it have something to it. Like what was the famous one from some years ago? The Stanley Parable was praised despite the fact that it's basically a handheld walking, like they handhold you through the narration in a walking simulator, but they give you agency as a player to either follow the narrator's instructions or to go completely against the narrator, much to the narrator's frustration. In this one, they don't seem to offer anything of that sort, like no parody, no parable, nothing to really draw you in outside of just plop you into a comfortable setting. Now, maybe there are some audiences for this, I guess. Quite frankly, for the iPad kid generation, I could see you dropping this in front of a 3-year-old. By the way, I do not recommend that, but I could see that being something you could do. The game appears to be a very safe, explorable environment for, your 3 to 5-year-old to just kind of walk around and enjoy some pretty colors. Outside of that, I really don't see much of substance to offer here for other other gamers, other buyers, other than, trying to have something safe and wholesome for a child. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into our rating for this game before we look at the rest of Down Meadow Street stuff. I would say Sunrock Lake is getting my rating 3 out of 10, which I know I've rated some things less, but I guess at least for the price, it's not they're not asking you for a whole lot, and they're not really telling you to expect a lot. So, as much as I would appreciate even just a trailer showing a little bit of the game's animation and music, like they're at least being honest with it, but at the same time it doesn't make me want to buy this. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's an audience for this. If you sit your 5-year-old in front of this, they'll probably have a good time. Maybe, I'm sure even 5-year-olds might want something a little more engaging, but at the same time maybe a safe environment for them, like Minecraft peaceful mode might be a thing to consider with that. But at the same time, it just doesn't really seem to offer much. So I've got to rate this a 3 out of 10. I do see some possible not terrible points, but nothing really giving me much to go on here. With that, I do want to take a quick look at Down Meadow Street's catalog here, which clicking on their name pulls up 68 games. And they do tell us they got the Sunrock Lake here. They've got Escape Prison Obby Getaway. They got Horror Park. They got more games that basically are just more pretty walking simulators like Mistfall Ruins looks like that. Magic Realm Obby looked like that. Glowfall Vale, Cozy Woods. They basically just walk around in a place. But then they have Build a Bank Tycoon. And with the brief look I gave at this, they do have some stuff where, you gain resource and purchase upgrades for your stuff and all that. But at the same time, for the most part, there's not a lot of mechanical demand going on here. They've got Castle Tycoon Simulator, but then they have Fantasy Grove, Sakura Peak. So it's more of just these $4 to $6 purchase a pretty sandbox situation, which how many of these do you realistically see yourself buying? If you do purchase one and enjoy it, like if anybody's actually played some of these, like somebody tell me that I'm misjudging this. Like I want to believe that Down Meadow Street has some kind of merit for what they've got going here. Um I don't know. I want to believe that there's something here. I do see a potential target demographic here. But for the people that are going to be on the eShop, that are going to be, purchasing an expensive console like the Nintendo Switch, I don't feel a reason for me to buy this, even if I'm trying to entertain children, because I feel like they can get a much more engaging experience with figuring things out in a more dynamic environment as opposed to just this walking simulator, unless you're trying to wind things down or something like that. Honestly, like I said, a 3 out of 10. Down Meadow Street does not seem to really offer much in most of the things they publish. The little bit that I looked at their catalog between here and Steam, and the even more sparse catalog on Steam was really not impressive.